I should be sharing on how to maintain purity and how do I maintain my purity, especially around peer pressure. When I just started high school, I was not saved. And I can remember my first term at Manchester High. You just reach a high school and you don't know anyone there, so you're trying as best as possible to fit in. At the time, only three of us, no, only four of us from my primary school matriculated to Manchester High School, and I wasn't in class with any of them. So I had to make new friends. I had to meet new people and everything. And I remember in the first term, the September to December, I would have got caught up in a little crew. I wouldn't say it was bad, but it definitely wasn't the crowd that I wanted to be in. And I remember one morning I was standing in devotion, and my principal said that your friends now will determine how far you go here at Manchester High School or how far you go in life. And I'd never forgot when he said that. And every September from that, when there's a new batch of students coming in, he would reinforce it that who you select as your friends play a significant role in how far you go in life and who you become. And so from that stage, I kind of had an idea that, of what I wanted for myself. And I was just persistent that I was going to achieve it no matter what. And so in the January of the new term, I remember I kind of stepped out from that group and I met some other friends who, were more the type of persons that I was looking for at the time. They were laid back, they were focused on their academics, and those are the type of persons that I wanted around me. In grade 8, when I got saved, I remember I didn't join the ISF club at that time. I think it was in third form before I joined the ISF club. But I had a friend who played a major role in my spiritual development as a young Christian. And I remember, getting saved and looking up to her and admiring her and her faith and admiring her belief. And I admired how she didn't let anyone else get into her space or into her head. Meaning a lot of people would look at her and they would classify her as being holy or boring, or she's lame, or she's this or she's that. But she wasn't moved or fazed by any of that. And I think, I admired that about her. And so in my youthful days as a young Christian, I was going to school, I clinged to her and I clinged to her spiritual growth and maturity. And that would have helped me. In third form, I joined the ISTF club because I was serious about God and serious about my spiritual growth. So I joined the ISTF club. I was now surrounded by a spiritual family. Outside of that, I became a part of the school's prayer team. And so when I went to school, I had morning prayer. We would go to school early and meet and we would pray on the greens. Then I had class, and then during my lunchtime when everybody else was socializing and doing them, I was on the greens and we were praying. And then after school, if I didn't have class, I was on the greens and we were praying. So my focus was kind of one place. And, as I grew, things started to happen, but I just remained focused on God and I didn't care what anybody else had to say. And from there, I didn't even understand that I was building a strong foundation so that when real temptations start to come, I would have something, I would have my foundation to cushion on. So when I was in fourth form, at this point in a grade 10, and everybody become kind of a little bit adultish because you're a part of the upper school body and all of that and the excitement. And for a brief moment, I almost lost sight or vision of who I was and where I was headed. But I thank God for being strong-willed and strong-minded and just always paying attention to what is in front of me. So that's one of the things that helped. I paid attention to what was in front of me. And I kept persons around me. So when I was at school, I was surrounded by godly people. I was surrounded by people who were on the same goal that I was. And then when I was home, it was family and friends who, of course, are of spiritual background. So I kind of had that. So even though the temptation was there, it was almost as if it didn't faze me as much as if it would. It didn't faze me as much as it would if I had been in another crowd, if I was hanging around friends who weren't saved at the time. Shaneika shared her story of having friends who pressured her into sex and all of that. I never had that experience because my friends were saved, and I remember in second form, let me go back a bit. At the time when I got saved, I was close to some people who weren't saved, and I never that maybe cut them off or whatever, but I understood at the time that we were on two different paths, and I think they respected my journey too, because even up until now we have a really, really good relationship, but they gave me the space where a lot of the activities that they would engage in, because I'm the one convert, they knew at the time that I wasn't able to engage in those things. So they respected my decision. And it wasn't really, it's not as if I went through any rough peer pressure with them or anything. So where am I? At fourth form? Yeah, I surrounded myself with like-minded persons. And as I grow and I face the temptation that is out there, I am grateful that I would have spent majority of my more youthful days, given that I'm still a youth, of my more youthful days, developing my spiritual man, developing my relationship with God, spending time around persons that are godly and have godly background and that are spiritual. Because now, as you grow and the temptation is as if the more you grow is the more you see the temptations out there. A lot of times I have to hold on back to some of these morals and some of these values that I had developed in my earlier days. So there are times when I'm on social media or I'm out there in the society and I just feel myself, it's not even voluntary. It's almost as if, you're hearing a certain thing playing in society over and over. And every now and again, you might feel your mind wander there, and I have to pull back on those morals and pull back on those values and really stand firm on them to say, all right, this is who I am, and I'm not trying to create any chaos or havoc in my life, and this is who I am, this is what I am about, and regardless of if I'm appreciated, regardless of if I'm seen as fun or all of that, I'm going to be me. A lot of the time, sometimes there are a few times I felt as if I was missing out. Like I was like, God, am I missing out on something? Because it seems as if I'm young and me not live no life. Sometimes in the past, when I was much younger, I used to feel as though, well, you look like me now, live no life. But then as I said, being surrounded by the godly community, and we found ways to enjoy our young Christianity. I have to give God thanks for passion and purity. Looking forward to coming to the high school conference in September was a big thing because you got to see young people out and serving God. And then in January, looking forward to the ladies conference where you got to see young, at the time I was much younger, so these were young ladies who were probably just 20, 21, 22, sharing their stories. You got to see them being pretty. I remember our first year, the theme was pretty passionate, pure, and purposeful. And just seeing the young women there, and I was like, I want to be like that when I grow up, and I want to be like that person, and I want to have that level of purity, and I've kept that with me from ever since. So, surround yourself with godly people. Ensure that you have a godly environment. It's from the scenario that we read earlier. I want to say this, that just maybe if that young lady would have been comfortable with being called boring or being called lame or being if she was comfortable with the young man saying to her, say, you're not having a style, or you're not having this. If you're just comfortable with taking whatever people have to say or their opinion, you don't even have to take it, but just you don't have to allow what they say to change your decision. Because maybe if she was comfortable hearing all of that, knowing who she is and who she's about, she wouldn't have gone into that place in the first place, because maybe it wasn't even her first desire. But just because the young man said, come and, we're going here, we're hanging out, and, she don't want to be labeled as being boring or being young and have no fun, so she just went along with it. So you're young and you're saved, people are gonna say this, them are gonna say, oh, you're not living a life, or you're not this, or you're not that. But you don't listen to the naysayers. At the end of the day, it's between you and it's between God, and you will have your chance of everything that people are saying that you're missing out on. If they say you're missing out on a relationship, take your time and go through, develop yourself, get to learn about yourself. The time will come when a relationship will just, it won't be anything that you have to force. It will just happen. You'll feel that level of maturity that, okay, I think I can accommodate somebody else's emotions in my personal space. No, you don't have to rush. And when you take your time and when you pace yourself, it's almost as if you see the world through a different lens. Because sometimes when I look around and I see certain things, I'm like, hey, God, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, surely not, because I've made my mistakes. I've done things that I'm not supposed to. I've been in places where I'm not supposed to be. So I'm not perfect and I'm not more righteous than anybody. But just sometimes when I look at some things, I have to say, God, I'm really grateful, with how I was brought up. I'm really grateful for the spiritual background. I'm really grateful for the good morals and values that I was taught, and I'm able to stand on now and to maintain most of all, to maintain my integrity. So pace yourself. It's okay if people label you as being boring. It's okay if there's a fit keeping, and as a child of God, you're not supposed to go. But it's okay if your friends say this or say that about you. It's all right. You'll grow, and the older you get, and when you have a chance to look back and reflect, trust me, you will be thankful. So don't be pressured into anything. Take your time. Think about the situation. If it is that you have to make a rash decision, then just be able to analyze quickly and say, okay, is this a good decision? Is this not a good decision? If it don't look good, regardless of what people might say, just don't go there. Just don't. Just don't. You don't need to see what they find the other side of the door. You don't need to experience. No, when the time is right, you will experience all of what they are talking about. So just take your time. You're not missing out on anything. Trust me. It's not really all that, as people say, in my opinion.